My indecision is your benefit. I couldn't make up my mind, so you get a double play video. 2 tutorials in one. So here are the prompts to index card a day. And I just finished the one alphabet, so I'm crossing off that one. And I had done the prompt violet. I'll put a link to those videos if you want to catch up on that. Now I print out all the prompts and I do them as they inspire me. So I keep referring back over the weeks. I don't do them in order. Now sunflower, I love sunflowers and I have tons of napkins with sunflowers. Look at these beautiful napkins, all from NINNYSNAPKINS.com. And yes, there is a link and a coupon code in the description box below. So I'm just cutting some of these, rough cutting them so I can size them on the substrate that I'm using and make some final decisions and narrow it down to one. Look at the beautiful colors of this napkin. And yet one more. So many options. How does one decide? Well, sizing them up. Some aren't going to fit. So those will get excluded. This one, I know I can cut off some of the flowers, but this one, I'm just loving the colors here. And as I pull it out like this, I get a flashback to do a silhouette sunflower on it. So I'm going to do that one. I'm pulling back the 2 excess layers of napkin. You always need to do that, and usually there are 2. And I'm sizing it on my substrate. Now remember, I'm doing this on inexpensive card bases instead of iCads because that's simply what I have lots of. So I'm putting some fluid matte medium down and cleaning up the mess because of course it's going to stick wherever you have any of the excess, and laying the napkin down, and then I'm going to put a coat of matte medium on top. That's going to seal it, make it turn it into a non-porous surface. So if I make a mistake later or put something on, it's just going to go on easier. So really, I use this napkin as an Insta background and even as a card as it is, slap on a sentiment, and you could call this done. Now there's that little piece that I kind of misjudged. You could patch part of the napkin on that like I'm doing here if it really bothers you. The excess napkin I fold inside the napkin and it goes back into my binders. I have a little tray with all the excess little bits of napkins that I can use for collage. Now this stencil is one of the sign stencils from the Crafter's Workshop. It's called Sunflower Rose, and I chose it because of the size. It fits my substrate the best. TCW has a lot of sunflower stencils, 6-inch, 12-inch, slimline. Now I'm going to put tacky when dry medium through the stencil. I'm applying it with my palette knife. I'm starting in the middle because that's going to hold it down, and I'm pressing the stencil down so it doesn't go underneath the stencil. And as you can see, I've also taped the stencil down. Do whatever it takes to help yourself out. So I'm going to put that one. I briefly thought about not doing the same with the 2 side sunflowers, just stenciling them with black paint. However, I finally made a decision and I'm going to do the same technique with the foil transfer sheets for all 3. These foil transfer sheets are also from the Crafter's Workshop, and they come in packs of 12. So you get lots so you can go to town foiling. Now it goes on white, it dries clear. So this is fast forwarded, maybe 2-3 hours. I put it on a little thick and I prefer not to put the heat tool on it. So I'm grabbing out 1 sheet of the black tie foil transfer sheets, and you put it on once the medium has dried clear, and you simply rub it. Rub and rub and rub, and when you think you've pressed it enough, you can lift up the sheet Oh, look at all the colors of those foil transfer sheets. Every color of the rainbow, and they just released some pastels, this turquoise, green pear, sea foam, eggplant, pink lemonade, watermelon. Oh, I'm going to go to town using them. But let's get back to this iCAD. I'm pressing, and once I think I have it done, I'm going to lift it up and see where I have it. Now, if you missed a part, there might be little gaps. All you have to do is simply put the foil back on and press a little harder, and it will cover it up. So sometimes it's a little bit of work depending on how thorough you are, but this is absolutely easy peasy. Once I'm happy, I'm just going to go to the next one and the next one and continue on. I did spend some time off camera touching it up. I just cut out that footage because you don't really need to see me do every little bit, but you can keep applying the foil on, and as long as it's still tacky, if it doesn't have the foil on it, it will be tacky, you can continue adding it. I love how this background of sunflowers works with the foil, the shimmer and shine of the foil. It makes for a very interesting card. And how easy is that, using a napkin as an Insta background? If it wasn't for the wait time of the tacky when dry medium, this card would have been done in no time at all. As I said, I kept going back and applying it and applying it and applying it until I got the coverage that I wanted. And look at that nice shimmer and shine, and it get a little bit of a 3D effect. It's absolutely lovely. Now I keep all my excess foils, the ones that I've started, in this plastic folder. And I looked at this and I thought, I wonder if I could use this as a collage paper. Anybody use the somewhat used up foils, transfer sheets, as collage paper? Let me know. I might have to experiment. So let's finish off the card. I need to edge this with black acrylic paint. I have some on my makeup sponge, and I go around with that. This frames the iCAD, or I mean, I could turn this into a card if I so desired. And since I like the look of the shading with my acrylic paint and my angle brush, it's a little more diffuse. I'm just doing that. That's just me being super picky. It gives a bit of a softer shading effect than the makeup sponge. Now I wanted to add a sentiment, so I grabbed this stamp that I have in my stash. It says "Choose Joy." I'm putting black acrylic paint on it. And then I'm just going to stamp with it. And that brings us to the end of this one. And because it was so quick and easy, and yeah, because I couldn't make up my mind, get ready, we're going to do iCAD 2 off the same prompt. Oop, sneak peek of the card that we're going to make. Forgot that footage was in there. So here's a close-up of the finished first card and all the supplies, all three from TCW. So I love this napkin, but it is a little too big, so I am going to cut off parts of it that I will use separately, and then I can play with where I want it on this iCAD, on this card base. I can make it go off the page. So once I have an idea, I'm going to peel off the excess layers and grab my liner brush and water cut all the excess off. Now if the napkin background is white, you can leave a little bit of it on because it will go very translucent and you won't see it if you're putting it on a white background. But I like to remove most of it and get that deckled edge. I just find it's a little less visible and it's a look I like. So I just put the water on and then peel it off little by little all the way around the focal image that I want, editing off any parts that I don't want to include. The thing here is you need to remember is nobody's going to know what the original looked like. So I went and I found the definition of sunflower and I typed it up with a font that I thought looked good, printed it out on copy paper, and I'm ripping around it, and I am going to glue that down. Use this as a collage paper and glue it behind my focal image. So I'm happy with that, and I'm going to grab my fluid matte medium and glue this collage paper down. Alternatively, you could have ripped it right out of a dictionary if you had that page. I just went to Webster's dictionary and typed what they had. Now I'm going to glue the focal image right on top of this text. The card or the iCAD has been gessoed. Now you can see that the text is showing through, and I love how that looks. I think it just adds something to it. This is not something I've done before, and that's why I like doing the Index Card a Day Challenge. I get more creative. I try to do something else. Now here I'm taking unbleached titanium and white gesso and painting the background of the card. I'm going right over the text, but I will be grabbing a baby wipe and wiping that down. I don't want to obliterate it. I don't want to cover it up, the text, but I do want to knock it back, mute it, so to speak. I'm going for a fairly neutral background, but not white. Love, love, love how this looks. Now each of these would be an amazing card. Now I'm kind of dry rubbing a bit of green, a bit of burnt sienna onto the background, just to introduce the colors that are in the focal image into the background in a very understated type of way. And there's the burnt sienna or red oxide, very close in color. And again, those are the colors that are in that focal image from the napkin. Now I wasn't sure what I wanted to do next, so that's when I edge. And here I'm using the red oxide or burnt sienna and the makeup sponge and going around. I wasn't sure I wanted to do black at this time, so I'm going to do the burnt sienna. I end up coming back with black, so I kind of end up with a two-toned shading edging effect. It just adds to the finished project. decided I wanted something a little more in the background and took a deep breath here because I wasn't 100% sure. This is the Rosetta stencil, one of my first stencils and favorites still. And I'm using yellow oxide and stenciling. This is giving that, it looks, the center of that stencil looks like a sunflower, and just adding a little bit of pattern to the background. And I'm going to keep going around. It was a bit of a gamble. I wasn't sure I wanted to risk it. I had my baby wipe ready, and because everything is permanent underneath it, worst case scenario, I could have wiped it off if I absolutely didn't like it. But if you don't risk something, you're not going to win. You're not going to discover something new. So I just keep adding a little bit more patterning in the background. Now, if you preferred it without that patterning, go for it. Learn from what I've done. Here I'm taking my angle brush and black acrylic paint and shading the sunflower. And the reason I'm doing this is I want that sunflower to stand up. It's the focal image. Also, because I've added pattern to my background, it's even more necessary to add the shading so it stands out. It gives the focal image more weight. I could have used red oxide here. I chose to use black. When you are doing an index card a day challenge and it's a small substrate, this is a great time to try new techniques, try new products. You're working on a small substrate. That's a perfect place to practice those things. Then I'm edging again. So you see, I've, on one theme, two very different iCads. And quite honestly, I could continue to do different ones with all the different lovely napkins from NINNYSNAPKINS.com. I'm going to splatter with some red oxide, but before that, I have to water that down a little bit, and I grab my fan brush and splatter. So the question is, which iCAD do you like best? Do you like the first one with the foil transfer sheets? Or do you like this one? And why? Oh, I thought I was done, but I grabbed the glossy accents, which I got in the subscription box from Ninny's Napkins a couple months ago, and I am covering the one sunflower. You are not to shake this glossy accent or heat dry it. So it goes on and it's a little cloudy. When it's completely dry, it is clear and gives dimension and shine. And you'll see the clear part in the pictures at the end of this video. And there we go. Be sure to let me know which one you like best. Until next time, go get creative.